Hello classmates, my name is Mark Free and I am leading off with our presentations. I'll be going over analysis and exploration for our micro-learning project on educational design research. As I had alluded to, I will be talking us through analysis and exploration. Within analysis, the main goal is problem definition. A great quote within this is from John Dewey, and it says, and I think all of us can probably attest to this through our time within our EDD program, is a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And this, within analysis, we're looking at several different things, but one of the main things that we're looking for during analysis is a contextual. We're looking at a contextual analysis, a needs assessment, and a literature review. As we talked about as the authors talked about in chapter 1, research, this analysis is research for intervention. So it focuses on the problem, the context, or the stakeholders. And then an overview of exploration, they are seeking out and learning from how others have viewed and attended to similar problems. A great quote that goes for this particular section is, "Exploration is the engine that drives innovation," and that's from Edith Whiter. Exploration includes site visits, professional meetings, and networking, and we'll get into each in a little bit more in depth in just a couple moments. So within analysis, we have the initial orientation. And if you're looking in your book on page 91, that graphic is a great graphic that illustrates the interrelated nature of analysis and exploration. So the analysis, the initial orientation, begins by drafting a problem statement. And the problem statement should be descriptive, and it is going to be incomplete because you have not completed all of your literature review, but it does state a problem and provide you with some way forward. So the first part of the initial orientation is the problem. And there are 3 issues that they're looking at in this one. What is the current situation? What is the desired situation? And what is already known or suspected about causes for this discrepancy? You're also looking at context, and that's the material context, the organizational or policy context, educational context, and the viability of the existing study, whether the study is actually viable to be completed. And then the third portion of initial orientation is around stakeholders. And stakeholders are just simply who is involved, indirectly or directly, because there could be ancillary pieces that you have to, when you're going through this orientation, that you have to involve to make sure that they're aware, especially if you're working with a school district or something like that. The literature review, I'm sure that all of you have conducted a literature review, but it does provide a little bit more, this provides a little bit more structure, if you will, to the literature review process. So there are 3 main purposes for the literature review, and they are to develop a broad understanding of the problem, where you're also the ideas, you're collecting ideas, as well as identifying frameworks for your data analysis, with the goal being for your literature review to discover how others have experienced this or similar problems, and to explain how and why these problems were addressed with what results. And then your literature review should be well structured. And within the literature review, they do talk a little bit about the literature review as far as the steps. And for all of us that have gone through many of these courses, we have gone through these steps, and this just lays it out with a 10-step process from identifying themes to reporting the literature review. And that can be located on page 102 in your textbook. Then you go on to within analysis, you go on to field-based investigation. And the planning piece within there, you're refining your focus, and you're giving a careful consideration of the focus of the field-based investigation in light of your new understandings. You're framing questions, so you're finding questions to address. You're selecting your strategies. There are a couple of different strategies. One that many of you may be familiar with. You're probably familiar with all of them. But I find the SWOT analysis to be particularly relevant, where you're looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This can be used in a variety of different contexts. I've used this when I'm doing strategic planning with faculty. We'll do a SWOT analysis so that we can be able to brainstorm and be able to look at a bigger picture, or the full picture of what's happening with a particular issue. You're also going into field work, and you're preparing instruments, engaging participants, and collecting data within there. And then you're finding meaning. You're finding meaning, you're analyzing the data, you're looking at those findings, and then you're reporting out throughout the process. And then we get into exploration. With exploration, we're finding new ways to look at problems and their solutions. So there are many different processes or strategies that we can use to conduct an exploration. And on page 112 in our textbook, it does give us several reasons for why, how others have viewed and solved related problems, and why this is a useful venture. Number one of them being site visits. And for those of you who are in K-12, and I'm sure it's in post-secondary as well, anytime you're visiting a school, you can hear all that you want, but until you actually get your feet on the ground in that particular school, it's very difficult to fully understand what is happening. So site visits are super, super important, and allows solutions really to come to life. You also have professional meetings that have a show and tell mindset, where you have conferences and different things so you can really learn from others. And then networking. This is an essential component for any professional, whether you're doing research or whether you're just in the field of education. Networking is an important component so that you can continue to enhance your network, because it's always the people that you know. You have to be competent in your job, but you also need to know people so that you can be able to make things happen for you. Products from this analysis and exploration involve the problem definition, where we're describing the discrepancies. We're looking at long-range planning, which should ultimately be a SMART goal. You're finding a partial design requirements, and that comes from your SWOT analysis and your literature review. And then your initial design propositions, and those are your core ideas, the core ideas that are underpinned and are used as inputs for design. And the analysis to conclude, there are a couple of items or resources that we have within the textbook. There is a particularly good table on page 123 that is available in digital format. You can go to routledge.com, and then up in the top right hand corner, if you just simply type in the book's title, Conducting Educational Design Research, when you go into that, when you select that book, you just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it has some tools that are available. It'll download as a zip file. That you'll be able to download all of the tools that are within this particular book. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I am looking forward to hearing and seeing the rest of your presentations as well. Thank you.